good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or whenever you may be tuning in to the Growing Our Future podcast. We're going to start off by saying thank you. You know, time's the only thing you can't do anything with it but spend it. So the fact that you're stopping by to spend a little time with us, we want to start by saying thank you. We appreciate you joining us. And as always, we love this platform. I remember when Mike Rowe was on here and we were talking, and Mike Rowe said, you know what broadcast means? It's a farmer term. It means to throw out. So what do? We go find the best we can find. We say, would you jump on the show, share seeds of greatness, and make our kids great, which makes our states great, which makes our country great. Today is no different. Cannot wait for y'all to meet this guy. Yeah, you just get around him and you're energized, but you're going to learn that for yourself. Ladies and gentlemen, it's an honor to introduce Billy Cox. Billy Cox, thank you for joining us today.
Aaron, you're welcome, man. I'm excited to be here.
So y'all don't know this, but he's going to tell you a little bit more. But this guy is a best-selling author. He's a speaker. He's a serial entrepreneur. But I got to tell you something that really got my attention. This guy right here has generated over $2 billion. Let me make sure y'all heard that. Billion, that's a B. Across sales across 5 companies. Billy, one of the things I like to share with our students and our teachers and everybody, you do it. If you want to be the best, you got to train with the best. And so that's the reason why we wanted you on, Billy. You're one of the best, and I want you to be able to pour into our audience to make them better too.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Aaron. Like I said, I'm excited to be here. And, we have generated over the years, over 40 years, by the way, about, $2 billion dollars in sales, but it hadn't always been that way. I started in sales when I was 17 years old and, obviously dead broke right out of high school, part-time. And I went through a lot of ups and downs. I even had 1 month, I only made $100. But I did learn. I started to create new skills. I got around the right people in the right rooms and started to get the right kind of thinking. And I believe there's patterns for success and there's patterns for failure. And if you follow those patterns of success, what the people that are out there that are doing it are doing, if you do the same thing they do with the same way and the same action, then you will, in the same attitude, you will get some of those same results. And so I was able to turn things around as a salesperson. Then I got my first business when I was 20 years old, small business, and just me and my wife and an apartment and a dream. And 3 months later, I went out to get in my car and it was gone. My car had been repossessed and my business was failing, extremely failing. But that day I made a decision. That was one of the biggest turning points in my life. And I borrowed a friend's car. I hocked everything that I had. I bought some inventory and I went out and made 3 sales that day. And I've never been broke since then. So no matter where somebody is at, I believe that success is a decision away. You got to make a clear, conscious decision. And so we made a decision, as there's been a lot of ups and downs since then. But, eventually I became the #1 office in the world in the company that I started with as a salesperson. We built 16 other offices, and 10 years later, they asked me to be president of the company, and that's how I wound up in Dallas. We took that company to record-breaking sales. Why? Because we made a decision, and we started putting daily inputs, little small deposits every day into our reputation account, into our trust account, and into our skill account. And we make those daily deposits, those inputs, eventually comes as output. And today we have businesses across the country. We have a mastermind that teaches small businesses how to do that. And I'm not saying this thing at the beginning to impress somebody, but really to just impress upon you that it's possible. And it's not just possible for somebody else, it's possible for you.
Well, we're going to keep going, but we could stop right there, but I'm not going to let you stop right there.
Right.
One of my favorite, I've got a lot of favorite quotes. You're the same way. You find stuff that just really resonates with you. And one of the things that I've really taken away from Tony Robbins is he said, success leaves clues.
It does.
And you just said it. You, in my world, I use the R2A2. So like when we're talking to kids, we use R2A2, recognize, relate, assimilate, and apply. recognize the concept, relate
Yep.
to it. You got to take
Mhm.
it in, but
Yep.
then you have to apply it. And
Yes.
I think one of the things, and I'm gonna let Billy really talk in and lean into this because Billy, I tell the kids somebody's always watching.
Yeah.
And guess what? I'm always watching. And one thing that I like about Billy, and he talks about this, and he's going to talk about, I know he will, is you got to move. You got to move. And I tell people all the time, God does not have a problem hitting a moving target.
Right.
Just, just move.
Yeah.
Talk about
Well, that's
that,
the
Billy.
truth. So many people they're sitting around, they're waiting for it, they're gonna think about it, they're gonna wait till the website's developed, they're gonna get all of these things in order, all of my ducks are gonna be in a row before they take action. And the truth is you have to take action before your ducks will get into a row because action always leads you to a result. Whether you like the result or not, you've learned something that you can take more action from. And eventually that's going to give you the confidence and the success. And then that cycle will continue. But nothing happens without taking action. So I think it was Mark Twain that said the foundation for all success is taking action. And we have something here this year. We call it MFA, and it's massive focused action. We have these shirts. I should have worn one, but it's MFA. We take massive focused action. See, a lot of people are taking some action, but what happens is they may wind up like Groundhog Day over and over again. So you really got to get focused. So we teach clarity is power.
Ooh,
And so the more clear you are about whatever it is you want, you've got to have that aiming point. The more clear you are about whatever it is you want, the more likely you are to achieve it. Clarity is also the antidote to anxiety. So many people are anxious, and it's just because they're out wandering around and maybe they're taking action every day, but they're being busy instead of
mm,
focused on busyness. They're really not focused in on the end result. So that's why having a clear goal is so important. That's why looking at it every single day, it gets ingrained to your subconscious mind, and you'll start to say, do, act, and react in ways that bring that about. But if you don't have that clear aiming point, then you're not focused and you're just taking action. And sometimes you feel like you're not getting anywhere. So success is really progress. And every single day, if you know, even if you don't feel like you're winning, if you're taking an action and you're learning, then you are moving closer to the goal, and success is inevitable.
man, bring it. So,
I keep
here,
on if you want me to. I'm
here we
just getting
go.
wound up.
This is awesome. So, again, I know that if you're listening, you can hear the energy. If you're watching, you can see the energy. I love the fact that we're moving. We've got to move. As a matter of fact, one of my other quotes that I like is it says, "A goal is a target that beckons." A goal is in other words, if it beckons you, you've got to move.
Yeah.
You've got to go over things, around things, under things. Um, I used to work with truant offenders, and I worked in a boot camp with juvenile detention kids, and I worked in a prison. And one of the examples I used to use, I said, if you want to go from Dallas to New York, how do you get there? Well, you could walk, you could roller skate, skateboard, take a bike, motorcycle, car, bus, train. But what's the easiest way? Fly. Okay, we're going to fly. We're going to get from, because, it's quicker. So what's the shortest distance between 2 points? Straight line. And you got to ask the question, do planes fly in straight lines? No, no, because they might have to maneuver around this. There might be traffic patterns. But what's the most important thing? It's that they get to their destination. And that's what you just said. A goal is what creates this inspiration
Yeah.
to move toward that target.
Yeah. Zig Ziglar said a goal properly set is halfway reached. And what I teach people is that plans change, decisions don't. When you make a clear, conscious decision that I'm going to do it no matter what, period, things start to happen. But it does not mean that you aren't going to have challenges. You're going to have challenges. You're going to have obstacles. You're going to have distractions. Life is going to show up. It's not going to be easy.
Mm.
Easy is not an option. So you have to tell yourself failure is also not an option. It's hard. If it was easy, everybody would be doing it. It's hard, but when you're clearly focused and you're determined enough, when you wake up with it on your mind, you go to sleep with it on your mind, you just have that passion that comes from inside. You're willing to fight for it, to work day and night for it. As Les Brown said, give up some time and some peace and some sleep for it when you're just dreaming about it. And then you just are clearly energized and excited towards a goal. You're going to have those challenges. But it doesn't mean you set a new goal. It just means the plan changes. You may have to change the strategy along the way. And through those changes, that's actually what makes you stronger. So part of the success is the journey, not just the destination. We've heard it. So, but the journey is where we face the struggles, the challenges, the ups and the downs, the good and the bad. The journey is what prepares us for the goal. So when we get there, then in turn, we have arrived, and not only do we hit the goal, we become a new person along the way. So every next level of my business started with a personal transformation. You don't reach the next level unless you change. So people are waiting for outside things to change. That never happens. When you change you, everything around you starts to change. When the individual starts to grow, then you prepare yourself for the goal. So the journey is what decides, hey, do I want it bad enough? The journey is what determines how the change that we're willing to make to get there. No goal that we set are we ready for when we set it. We think we are. But if we set a big enough goal, something that's passionate, that means we have to transform as we're achieving that goal. We have to become a new person. We have to gain new skills. We have to skill up in order to level up. So we're making these daily deposits into our skill account, into our growth account. We're growing, we're changing, we're transforming. And then as we transform, then things around us start to transform.
I'm taking notes, and I've got so many good quotes already. You're nailing it. I love it. In the world of agriculture, and, that's my world is agriculture. I always say if agriculture's taught me anything, it's taught me, if you wanna know what the future is, you gotta grow it.
Yeah.
So you just said it all right there. You've gotta plant the seeds. Well,
Yeah.
make sure you got the right seeds. You've gotta you
Totally.
gotta work them. You gotta put them in the
Yeah.
ground. You gotta take care of them. You gotta be willing to adjust if there's a pest or a geopolitical, whatever.
Yeah. You're gonna
You
have
gotta
the
harvest,
attacks.
and
You're
and
gonna
and
have
then
the
you gotta
challenges.
share.
Yeah.
Um, you know what? I love when you said easy. It's not an option.
Yeah.
Um, the other
Anybody on Easy Street will tell you it's not easy. And by the way, you don't stay there very long. You hit a goal, you get there, but you never arrive. When you get there, you're either moving forward or you're fading fast. So many people, we hit our first goal. Like my goal was to get that office. And you say, well, 3 months later, my car was repossessed. Why? Because I had arrived. I said, well, I've got a business now. Everybody's just going to come buy from me. Then I realized, no, people aren't buying. You've got to get out there and let the world know who you are. And I wouldn't let the world know who I was. I'd quit doing the things that even brought me to the game. And also what brought you here to where you are today won't take you there. It's not going to take you to the next level. It's going to take new skills. So we're constantly growing. And again, with every new level, there's also going to be challenges. As we level up, it's just a new set of challenges,
is.
but also a new set of opportunities.
Now the other one there with the ag thing is, I like to say, when you're green, you grow. When
Yeah.
you're ripe, you rot. No, I don't
And
wanna
that
rot.
just fits in with life, don't it? I mean, we're green, we're excited, we're fired up about our business, and then we get out there, and then suddenly we feel like, "Oh, man, I've arrived. I've hit that goal. I've gotten there. I've started my own business," or, I've achieved that next milestone. But if you sit there too long, when you get to the top of every mountain, we're really at the bottom of another one. We can look over and see another mountain, so we can't sit there very long. Or it's like the window washer that's on the 8th floor washing windows, and he steps back to admire his work. What happens? 8 stories down. And so, I always teach people just and the biggest mistake I've made along the way is just feeling like, "Oh, I've arrived." And now I've learned to just consistently you get comfortable being uncomfortable. Okay. And know that that's part of it. Discomfort is just means I'm stretching and I'm growing and I'm putting myself out there on the line. So, The greatest risk of all is to never take that risk. There's no such thing as that safety zone. It's always stepping out to finding out what don't work in order to find out what does work.
Man, this is so good. Well, Zig, what did Zig say? He said, "Go as far as you can see, and when you get
Yeah.
there, you'll always be able to see further." And
And
Billy,
I've
one of
never
the things
forgotten that.
that I really like about what you say, your energy, and what you bring to the table. Number one, I'm like you. I believe, and by the way, when I went through the ZLC training, I had a nationally recognized truancy intervention program. Okay. I had a program that was nationally recognized for truant offenders. And I based it on skills training. That's what it was based on. And then when I saw Ziegler's Stairway to the Top,
Yeah,
there's this little thing in your brain called the reticular activating system.
that's right.
And what it does is it tries to filter out something it doesn't believe.
Mhm.
So the way you wire around the reticular activating system is through skills training. And
Yeah.
so skills training lets you start improving and learning something new, and then success begets success. And Zig figured that out early on. He taught it early on. And I sat there and I thought, you know, that's what you're doing when you're moving toward a target. You're improving. In life, you will do the only thing you know how to do. If you don't learn something new, you will only parent the way you know how to parent. You will only be in a relationship to know how you do it. If you don't learn something new, you will, just like a computer, you will default to the only thing you know. When you're green, you grow. When you're ripe, you rot. Like you said, you've got to be putting into that skills bank all the time and saying, is there a better way for me to say this, to communicate this, to
Absolutely.
execute this?
And there always is.
Yes.
Because my father taught me a saying, and he didn't come up with it, but he always said that, and he was a coach, and he was also a preacher, but he taught us the saying, good, better, best, never let it rest until your good is better and your better is best. And I said that quite often, and then I was having lunch with Tom Ziegler and Brian Tracy out in California on top of a restaurant, and I was talking to him about that, and so I shared that with him. And immediately at the end of that, he paused and he said, "Yes, Billy. And you know the best thing about that?" And I said, "What, Mr. Tracy?" And he said, "There's no limit to how much better you can become." And so your best today is not your best tomorrow. And so I've never forgotten that. And there's no limit to how much better you can become. And so that should give us all hope. Maybe we don't feel like we have the skills to do something. Just put yet on the end of that. I don't know enough to accomplish that yet. I don't have the skills to make $2 million a year yet. I don't have the skills to grow that business nationally yet. I don't have the social media talent to get million view reels out there yet. And as long as that, then hey, there's no limit. Every single day I can improve. And so those small incremental improvements every single day will lead to giant leaps over time. So it's really what we do every day that leads us into who and what we will be someday. Success is not a sometime thing, it's an all the time thing. You can't have other people wake you up and say, "Hey, get up, go succeed." You have to wake your own self up each and every day and take massive, focused action until you achieve the results you desire. And when you get there, enjoy it for a moment, set a new goal, and go after it again.
All right, Billy, you just teed up two more directions here. Hang on, here we go. Number one, I love asking this question. We're going to talk about our friend Marty Bryan here in a second.
Marty,
I love asking this question to the kids and to teachers and audiences. How many people have a birthday? Raise your hand. Everybody chuckles. And I said, we have that in common, because here's how it works. The day that we're born, the first thing that we do is we take an inhale. And when our purpose is served, we're going to exhale. Life is just a breath. Okay.
Yep.
So we got to determine, what are we going to do with that breath? So now let's dig a little deeper on that breath. In the state of Texas, I always like to ask people, how many high schools are in the state of Texas? I don't know. There's a lot. Yeah, there's a lot. All right. There's over 3,000 high schools in the state of Texas. How many of those high schools are going to have a graduating class this year? Every one of them. Every one of those kids are going to be out looking for a job, a scholarship, or an opportunity. So, right here, right now, I hope that the young people that are listening to this podcast, maybe a parent, maybe a coach, maybe a grandparent, understands what this is all about. Everybody's out there looking for something, and you've got to have a competitive edge. What is your competitive edge? The fact that you're stopping by and listening to this podcast, the fact that you're recognizing, relating, assimilating, applying the skills that Billy's sharing, that becomes a competitive edge that can make your breath more effective, that can bring that word of encouragement, of hope. Go get it. I mean, all of these are about competitive edge. You're going to have to compete in business. You're going to have to compete in life. You compete by, what did Billy say earlier? You got to put stuff into that skills bank.
Yeah.
You got to improve that competitive edge. So, Billy, if you could give us maybe three. If you could talk to every high school kid in the state of Texas right now, and you said, here are three competitive skills that will make you successful in life, what would you tell them?
Well, the first thing I want to say is, I've always wanted to have an advantage over my competition, and I say that sometimes in meetings and events and things like this. And people say, "Well, Billy, isn't that lying? Isn't that cheating? Isn't that doing something wrong?" And I was like, "Absolutely! It's I mean, what it really is doing something right every single day. It's getting up earlier than your competition does. It's going to bed a little bit later than your competition does. It's willing to step out more than your competition will. It's even taking those small risks." Over and over more than your competition will. It's, studying that new skill and implementing it. Used to, there was something we called adapt and implement. And we always heard the word adapt and implement. Well, we got to adapt and we got to implement. I don't believe that anymore. Today, knowledge is very equal. AI is out there. There's so many things where that is creating very consistent knowledge across the board. Today, it's really about implementing and then adapting. It's stepping out and then into that next level and then getting better as you do it, finding out what doesn't work. And I was talking about that, earlier, finding out what doesn't work. So the successful people today, it's speed to the market. It's really willing to just put yourself out there over and over again. And I found that when you will, time will either collapse or expand or collapse based on the amount of things that we schedule in. It's called Parkinson's law. And so we have to just consistently put time frames on ourselves. People say, I'm going to do it next week, next month, next year. No, do it tomorrow. Do it today. Schedule that meeting this evening. Make that phone call now. Shoot that email consistently. So speed is really important. Um, More than ever, relationships is the name of the game. Today, people says, well, AI is going to come in and take all the jobs and it's going to do all of this stuff. No, it's not. But the person that utilizes AI to their advantage is going to take the job of the person, or their business is going to go to the next level compared to the person that does not use it. So you have the technology. Embrace technology as long as it's taking you in the direction that you want to go. Use that to improve your performance. But relationships are never going away. People don't want to have a relationship with a machine or a computer. They really want a relationship for you. So if you're going to build a business, if we're talking about really building a business or building a brand in the future, then you have to put yourself out there to the world. They have to see the real you. The day of the faceless brands are over. People want a real connection with a human being. They want to know what you're about. The reason Marty Bryan is so successful in this business, people don't feel like they're doing business with Marty B's. They're doing business with Marty Bryan. He's an extension of the brand and all of his brands, and he's consistent with all of his brand. So I would also say this with relationships, communication. You've got to be able to talk to people and speak to people. So many people get out of college and they think, I'm going to hide behind a computer and I'm going to do all this stuff from there. No, you're not. You need to mix it up. Get out there in the world, see people, let the world know who you are. You have a personality that's unique to you. You have a purpose and a passion. You have to seek out that purpose and find your passion that's inside of you. And I don't believe God put us on this earth to do anything that we're not passionate about. So you have a passion and you have a vehicle, that a tool that can help you get to your goals and dreams, but it's going to be based on you, your relationships, your personality, your unique gifts that you bring to the world, but the world has to know about them. See, we teach people, so many people can say, I've got the greatest business, the greatest idea, the greatest opportunity, the greatest talent, the greatest skills in the world. But if nobody knows about it, you're
Right.
not building a business. You're
Right.
building a secret. Who wants to build a secret? So the world has to know, how are you going to amplify your brand? How are you going to shout it out to the world and get it out there to everybody? So you've got to figure out, there's so many different ways to do that nowadays, is to in order to get that out there. And then the final thing I would say is consistency. Consistency is going to key. It's about really the getting up, dressing up, showing up, and never giving up. And it's about doing it over and over again. You gain confidence in yourself and from other people by doing the things you say you're going to do repeatedly over and over again. So it's keeping your word. It's building that reputation, and reputation comes from repetition. So again, it's what we do every day that leads us into who and what we will be someday.
I say it this way, just staying on the same topic. I always say consistency creates credibility, and
Absolutely.
persistence breaks resistance. And that goes
Yes.
back to what you just said. It's
I
all
love that.
reputation. You've just got to make it repetitive,
Yep.
because that becomes your brand. And to your point, Marty, everybody that knows Marty Bryan will tell you that is exactly right. We know Marty. We know what he stands for. We know what his values are, because my handle is live your brand. Everybody that knows
Yes.
me knows my handle is live your brand. Live your brand. Live your brand. Live your brand. Marty Bryan lives his brand. And
He
to your
does.
point, that's why we want to go be a part of that.
And
Uh,
he lets the world know about it. He's putting himself out
sure.
there every single day, and he's showing up. He shows up over and over again.
I was visiting with one of the other states. I've been fortunate to do my job now for 26 years. We started a national organization. We've been raising money, sponsorship, fuel. I tell sponsors it's the fuel to make dreams come true. And we have a very unique marketplace, by the way, Billy. So people ask me all the time. They say, Aaron, what is it that separates your kids from everybody else? Doesn't athletics teach teamwork? Doesn't band teach ensemble? Doesn't UIL teach speech and debate? What is it you think y'all do that nobody else does? And I have two really good examples. Number one, I grew up at Cal Farley's Boys Ranch outside of Amarillo. And I remember my dorm parent one time giving me a sledgehammer, told me to drive 5 miles to the other side of the ranch and bust the water trough for the horses. And I pitched a fit. I said, Mr. Chandler, I don't want to go. It's cold. It's a blizzard. I could get lost. I'll never forget it. In his old country wisdom, he said, Darling, do you get thirsty when it's cold? I said, Yes, sir. He said, Don't you think those horses get thirsty too? I said, Yes, sir. I drove 5 miles that day and I busted the water trough for the horses.
Yeah.
Little did I know God was giving me that lesson to be able to look at people today. And when they say, Aaron, what separates these FFA, these ag science kids from everybody else? I'll tell you what it is. Because in our world, if we don't do our job, something dies.
Yeah.
In the world of agriculture, if we don't take care of it, it dies. And when it dies, an economy dies. And when that dies, a people die. So we've got this very unique thing. But in collaborating with my colleagues across the country, I was in a very, very large state one time, and I asked them this question. I said, "What do you want to be? What do you want to be?" And they go, "Well, Aaron, we're doing it. We're trying to do a good job." Okay, I get it. I am too. What do you want to be? Well, I don't know. We're just, I don't understand what do you want to be? Well, I was baiting him. One of them took
Yeah.
the bait. He turned around. He said, "Well, Aaron, let me flip that question around to you. What do you guys in Texas want to be?" I said, "That's easy." I said, "I want to be the best." I said, "Because if we're not striving to be the best, then we ought to hang a sign outside that says no worse than the competition." So
Yes.
if we're not striving to build up that skill bank, that reputation bank, if we're not striving to put ourselves out there to be the best, well, just hang a sign up that says no worse than the competition.
Yeah, that goes back to what I said, good, better, best. Never
Yes.
let it rest till your good's
Never let
better is your better is best. You wanna be the best, but
Yep.
the best today is not the best tomorrow. Yesterday's world records are today's entry level requirements. And so, Think about that. And I believe it's our duty every day to be the very best that we can be, and then tomorrow to better that best. Just something a little bit more, something a little bit different. And if we wake up every day with that type of mindset, because mindset matters, it's the mental aspects of winning is the most important aspect. Because as we believe, we become, as we think, we become, as we see the future, we become. And so that's why we got to get so clear on what it is we want. And then we are more likely to achieve it. That clarity is power. But one of the big words there, and you were saying there, is what you've really learned is duty. It was your duty to go and make sure those horses had the water, even though there was a blizzard. And through that blizzard, you learned a life lesson of duty. And people have forgotten that word nowadays. A lot of people have. Successful people haven't. It's your duty to show up. It's your duty to be better. It's your duty to provide the vision as a leader for your team. See, the one thing all leaders have in common is vision. It's your duty to make sure that you have the tools and the resources and the environment that people can succeed in. It's your duty to share your vision with the world. So if you if you wake up understanding that, hey, it is my duty, it's my must. It's just, life is useless and worthless without it. Then you'll do it.
Billy, I've done a lot of really neat things in my life. I'm incredibly blessed to have started where I started, to be where I'm at, to have the chance to work with the people like you, the people that I've been blessed to get to know. But I got to tell you something, in all of my years and in all of my activity, I've never had anybody put it to me like you just did about duty.
Hmm.
And I just want to tell you how much I appreciate that, because that's going to become part of that presentation in the future. That
Boom.
right there, a sense of duty became a core value that
Yeah.
I've now
You're
taken.
giving me chill, or you really are giving me chills.
Now I've taken with me to everything that I do in my life.
Yeah.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is one of those guys I could keep talking to. We could probably take a day. We'll do a whole workshop for you. But let me throw something out just so everybody's aware that this year, we would be celebrating Zig Ziglar's 100th birthday.
That's right.
And because of that, they're going to have a little event on Friday, October 16th at the Dave Ramsey campus in Franklin, Tennessee. And they are doing this Zig celebration for 100, and you should see the lineup of speakers that they're bringing in. I'm talking the heavy hitters. As a matter of fact, Billy Cox, you're going to be one of the speakers at the Zig 100 coming up. Tell us about that.
I can't wait. It's one of the honors of my life. Zig Ziglar is my number one mentor. I got to know him extremely well later in life. In the room next door in here, we have the Ziglar library with his pump and stuff in it. The family are just great friends. So it's an honor to me to be able to speak there. It is going to be one of the most powerful, impactful days that anybody could ever attend, a day of total transformation, a day of hope, a day of believing, a day of stepping up to that next level, discovering your purpose, your passion, your calling, your next level of what that calling might be. And so I would encourage anyone who can possibly be there to invest in yourself. The biggest and greatest investment you can ever make is investing in you, your knowledge, your skills, your vision, your dream there. And invest in yourself. Take that time. I call it dedicated time. Be intentional. Even if you don't feel like it, go ahead and schedule it. Like we said earlier, schedule it. Be very intentional about it. Get a ticket to that event and come out and watch your life change. You'll laugh. You're going to cry. You will be stirred up. You're going to be shook up. But one thing is certain, you will leave a different person than you were whenever you walked into that door.
All right, Billy, we gotta wrap up. But let me just tell you something. We messed something up in this interview, because I usually don't let guests start without one question, but I'm gonna let you wrap up with two questions. So first question is this: what are you grateful for today?
Man, so I'm beyond grateful. I had a open heart surgery 10 months ago, 7 hours, thought I was in great shape. And through a certain amount, some events that happened, I wound up and had literally an open heart surgery. And the doctor said that I had the fastest recovery of anyone he's ever seen in over 30 years
Wow.
from that. But I believe there's being grateful. I feel like I've always been grateful. And the grateful is, like all the things in life that you're grateful for. Zig Ziglar said gratitude is the very best attitude. He has a gratitude wall in there of all the people that he's grateful for. So I'm grateful for all of those certain things. But I would like to just challenge everyone to that. I believe the next level of being grateful is living in gratitude. And so um, I feel like today I really live with gratitude. When I wake up, I not only think of the things that I'm grateful for, I just feel it circulating in my life. And it actually, I feel like it opens up the door to an abundance mentality. If we're not grateful for what we have now, how can we ever be expect to even have more? But gratitude
Yeah.
just opens up the door to abundance. So I would just challenge you, I'm grateful for just being alive, for every moment that I have on this earth. And my goal is to make every moment count. So there's my gratitude. What was the second question?
That's a fun question, but I just want to lean into that for a second.
Yeah.
You're going to hear more about this, folks. Just stay with us. We talk about this every podcast episode. We start with gratitude,
Yeah.
and there's a reason why. And Billy just gave us another example of that. Billy, thank you,
You're
and
welcome.
God bless you. And I'm glad you're doing well because God's not finished with you. You got a lot of work to do, so
Yeah.
keep doing it.
Yeah.
So you get a fun question. We've got to know Billy Cox. We heard how he started, how he had $100. He's man, this is a great story, and you've lived life. So, just out of curiosity, what is the best concert you've ever been to?
Best concert. Man, I think it would be I'm gonna, you know, from the rock side, it was I went to a Sammy Hagar concert when I was young, and it was fun. So we loved this Sammy Hagar, and that was pretty awesome. And
Yeah,
then, but one of my first, big concert experiences was Garth Brooks, and I just literally in
Texas
the big
Stadium.
arena. It's just do what?
Was it Texas Stadium?
No, it wasn't Texas Stadium, but anyway, it was in, Houston, but and I did go to another one later on. So I went to one early in life, and I went to one of his more recent ones out here at the American Airlines, Center, a few years ago. But, seeing Garth Brooks there, just the songs that he came out with and his story of where he came from and having that vision, and through his vision, he kinda reshaped, country music and the concerts and all the things that they do, today. So, back when I just remember walking into that arena, and when Garth had first come out, and like, this guy just a year ago had just put his first album out, and now he's in this big arena.
Mm.
And so it's just that dream and vision behind it. I'm like, that's just kind of cool. So
Well, you and I have a lot in common. I remember seeing Sammy, and
yeah,
his vocals blew me away. He is just as good live as he is on an album.
yeah.
Uh, I saw Garth, to your point, and, Garth's a former FFA member. Uh,
Oh yeah, that's
yeah,
right.
Marty
Yeah,
Bryan's a former FFA member,
yeah.
and so,
That's awesome.
and George Strait, Don Henley of the Eagles is a former
Yeah.
FFA member. So anyway,
And George is one of my favorites. We saw him recently out at Dickies Arena,
mhm, yep.
and that was awesome. We loved George.
Billy, I can't say thank you enough. I have had the pleasure of getting to meet Billy, and hopefully I will continue to be, in places where we get to work together. But, I can't say thank you enough for taking some time out of your schedule to join us on the Growing Our Future podcast. Thank you. I just want to say thank you.
Well, I can tell you it's been my honor, and I do believe this. I believe inside of you have the unlimited God-given potential, each and every one of you that are out there listening, to be, do, or have anything that you want in your life. You simply have to decide, make a decision today, decide what it is you want, and then be willing to work long enough and hard enough to make it happen. And if you do, I can promise you this, you will live your dreams and make a major impact along the way.
Man, do that, y'all. Everybody, what Billy said, do that. That's the breath that we were talking about earlier. The breath right there. Do that. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for stopping by the Growing Our Future podcast. Again, we're honored that you gave some of your time for us, and we hope you found value here. I hope there was something that you could relate to, that you could, you could recognize, that you could assimilate, apply, and do exactly what Billy said, be all that God created you to be. Until we see each other again, everybody go out and do something great for somebody else. You'll feel better about it, and the world will be better because you did. Everybody, take care.
Thank you.